Hello and welcome to episode 22 of the Ganja Geezer. This is another review episode. A few people emailed me and put comments up on my video on the Sweet Afghani Delicious I did a couple of weeks back, saying I need to try the R4 strain from the Greenwerkz Dispensary. I'll have a link to their website in the description down below. That it was a very high CBD and almost no THC. Their website describes it as at least 13%, usually higher, CBD with less than 1% THC. Now, and they also on their website, they state that it is a 99-1 CBD rich strain. Wow, that is impressive, if that is, true. So I moseyed on down. It was before 420 I picked up a sample, and I've done 3 or 4 samples of it in that time, and let's see what I thought of it. But first I'd like to do a little background on the strain from what I found. First thing when I went in, you could only buy in an eighth of an ounce amounts. You couldn't buy it as grams or even more than that. They wanted to keep the amount given to patients limited. You can only get an eighth of an ounce a day to keep it in stock, limited availability, but this way all patients get some instead of somebody coming in and buying 2 ounces at a time, etc., or an ounce plus. I think that's a very good policy. I went into their Edgewater store next to Sloan's Bar and Grill, just a little bit west of Sloan's Lake, and it was a very different experience than the other dispensaries I've been in. Most dispensaries, they have either windows blacked out or they're blocked out, so there's no windows. You walk in and you go into what they call a man trap, where there's a glass window and you hand them your card and your information, and then once that's approved, you're buzzed into the dispensary area, the actual dispensary area. This reminded me more of an optometrist's office than anything. You walk in, there's a couch, a desk in front of the door, and they check you in there, and you just walk you back to the dispensary area. No buzzing in through a door, so a little bit of a different experience from the dispensary side. Doing a little research on the strain itself, this R4, the Greenwerkz website says it's a cross between Heartland Cream and Reclining Buddha. It's a pretty generic looking bud. I'll put it up here. I did a close-up shot of it, and it's very sticky when you put it in the grinder. Also included a link to the Greenwerkz menu in the description down below. I couldn't find any information on the Heartland cream strain, but Reclining Buddha is described as according to CannabisSearch.com as a sativa indica hybrid. Also, while I was at the Cannabis Cup late last week, did get to talk to a few vendors, including someone at Greenwerkz. It was it was too loud and crowded to really spend much time. The most interesting fact that I got from them is that they have open sourced this strain to Colorado MMJ patients and registered MMC businesses. So if you're a registered patient or a registered business, MMC business, you can actually go in and get 4 seeds for free. You just walk in and they give them to you. So they want people to use this. I think there's also a limitation, I'll verify this, but that you can only sell it for $15 an eighth. You can't sell it for any more. It's supposed to be a non-profit type patient gift, really. This is an impressive service to the community, and serious kudos to Greenwerkz for doing this for them. Also, since we're talking about the Cannabis Cup again, Greenwerkz also got the High CBD Award for the R4 strain this year at the US Cannabis Cup. So I suppose that's congratulations is in order there. All right, it's enough backstory. Let's get to the review. Now, as a review of the review, I base my reviews on 4 criteria. 1, taste, smell. 2, pain relief, the number 1 important thing. 3, side effects. And 4, value. And in this case, since it's a flower, it's price per gram. Let's go to taste. Now the smell of this bud is very similar and reminiscent of the sour tsunami that I sampled from the River Rock dispensary last year. It has almost a chocolatey coffee smell, a little spice in there, but it's got a distinct smell. And I learned this week that it's not the THC or CBD that causes the smell, creates the smell. It's the terpenoids or the other oils in there. According to what I've read, THC and CBD are odorless. So maybe certain terpenoids are associated with high CBD. I don't know. But it's an interesting smell. Very similar to that. And another bud I tried called Luca Brasi, of all things, from the Clinic Dispensary. So, very nice smell. As for flavor, not really any, just a weedy smell on the vaporization going in, and maybe less of an aftertaste than other flowers that I vaporized. So overall, I've got to give this, nice smell and decent, not a bad aftertaste. I'm going to give it an 8 out of 10 for taste. Now, as always, I feel taste and smell is the least important criteria in my reviews, so again, feel free to drop it out of my final average of the 4 different criteria. Moving on, we've got the most important factor, pain relief. This was a very different experience than I've had with any other flower so far. After taking 4 or 5 pulls off the vaporizer, nothing really happened, which it's not surprising, because usually what happens very quickly is the head high from the THC. So, didn't feel anything, but past experience taught me to wait and not try more. So in about 15-20 minutes, I started feeling very relaxed, almost rubbery relaxed, but in a good way, not out of control, not couch locked. And then also, suddenly I noticed that my pain was gone. It was no sudden relief or anything like that. I just was sitting there, and all of a sudden it's just gone within 15 to 20 minutes. That was very good. Also, it didn't last that long. I actually went in about 35-40 minutes later and did about another 4 or 5 pulls off the vaporizer, and that seemed to get me up to a dose that lasted for 3 to 4 hours. It was great to consume more without having to worry about getting high. This is a great thing about this product. You can get your pain relief, you can keep taking it until you're at a level where you're happy. You don't have to worry about getting too high. I mean, there's really no THC in it. The downside to this is that I had to use significantly more flour than I did with previous, like the Sour Tsunami, the Luca Brasi, or any of those, because I don't know why. Maybe there is a synergistic effect between the THC and the CBD. I'm going to experiment more with that, but I had to consume about twice as much to get the full 4-hour pain relief I was getting with other flower previously. Not a big deal, but again, you use more than you're going to with the other strains. Okay, that being said, I'm going to only ding it a half a point for pain relief, and this is going to get the all-time high for me of a pain relief rating of 9.5. It's excellent. This is, if you have any sort of, I'm not going to talk to nausea or anything like that, but for pain relief, this has been a absolute blessing. This is going to be my go-to pain relief medication for the foreseeable future. All right, that's pretty good. So let's move on to the side effects. There were none, period. I didn't get high. I could safely have operated a car. I felt perfectly comfortable. I thought I could drive a car. Probably wouldn't have tested positive for THC if I was driving, so there's a bonus. I could have done a corporate presentation. I could have watched Inception and understood it and been fine. I was surprised at how little sedative effect the high CBD had. I expected this to be more tranquilizing than it was. This was just pain relief and relaxation. This is great. So at this point, no side effects. I got to give it a side effects rating of 10. And again, 10 being a very good thing. No side effects equals a rating of 10. Value. Again, review, Greenwerkz only sells this in eighths, and they sell it at what they say is a cost, $15 per 1/8 of an ounce. This is a great price for the quality of medicine you get. So if you translated that into price per gram, it's $5 a gram. That's pretty dang cheap. But again, taking into the factor that it took me twice as much to get me the 4-hour pain relief I was looking for, so that kind of dings the value a bit, so I'm going to bring it down and give it a value rating of 9. So in summary, what do we have? We have a 8 for taste and smell. We have a 9 or 9.5 for pain relief. We have a 10 for side effects, the lack thereof, and a rating of 9 for value. If you average this all together, I think it comes up to be 9.125, but overall it gives you a Ganja Geezer rating of 9. And if you drop out the taste, it even goes higher than that. So this is by far the best pain relieving medicine I've taken. I have not tried any of the high CBD oils or anything. Those are going to be coming in the future, but for a flower, this is the best pain relief medication I've ever experienced so far. There you have it. I found my go-to medicine for pain relief. This is an interesting thing I thought about, and I talked to somebody at the Cannabis Cup again in the noise. I think it was from the Dixie Elixirs booth. Apologies for not remembering, but this is less than 1% THC, so it has the same amount of THC as industrial hemp, which it looks like Colorado growers are going to be able to grow legally. Now, does that also mean that this could be sold to anybody, whether legalized marijuana exists or not, if legalized hemp is in the state? Because really, this is just the same THC content, or slightly more, than industrial hemp. Who knows, maybe someday you'll find something like this in GNC or the Vitamin Hut or Vitamin Cottage or whatever they call that. You know, you can go in and buy it like any of the other natural herbal remedies. I'd like to talk to the Greenwerkz people to see their take on the situation and see if they are planning on distributing this as a completely legal product. Well, overall, again, a nice rating of 9. That's it for now. Goodbye, and stay medicated.